mounted this skeleton about 10 feet in the air, and there was no way I was going to be able to get up there and change his batteries or even switch on his eyes. So I took him apart and I found a way to bypass the batteries, and I will show you how I did it. These are the tools I used. So you're going to need a drill with a 3/16 inch drill bit, some wire strippers, these solder and seal connectors, those are a lifesaver, a soldering iron, a heat gun, or you can use a lighter. I found this wire here, which is black. It's a 22 AWG gauge copper wire, red and black. And then I got these waterproof connectors. You have a male and a female. They have a seal to keep water out, and a couple little small Phillips screwdrivers. So I will move on to showing you how to take the head off of the skeleton. So first things first, you got to take your head off your skeleton, and he is held on with 8 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You take them all off, and of course there's 4 that hold the battery cover on. And he comes off. He's held on to the skeleton. The skeleton's spine has 2 holes in it, and so the front one goes here and the rear one goes here. So that's the inside of your skeleton, of your skull there. So one thing I discovered when I opened it up is why his jaw wouldn't move, and I found that these 2 screws were here and here, and it was along the rod, and this is the rod that allows it to move. So I just unscrewed these 2 screws and moved them from here to here, and now you can actually operate the jaw. And it looks like they had left room for, in case you wanted to put a little servo and make him animatronic, because they give you like a little lever right here to hook him up to, but that's another project for a future date. So this is all about bypassing the battery. Okay, so you're gonna drill a 3/16 inch hole here and a 3/16 inch hole here in the center of the battery pack. And then you're gonna take one of your waterproof connectors. There's a male and a female. And what makes them waterproof, because it's nice, because they have that little rubber seal there to keep moisture and water from getting into your components. So I use the male end coming out. So I'll just feed him into the bottom of the skull and then turn him over and get him into the battery compartment here. And if you're comfortable using a soldering iron, because that's what's going to be next. This is your positive wire, and this right here with the diode is your negative. So I marked them inside here. So there's your positive, and then there's going to be your negative right there. You're going to put some solder here onto the positive side. And you're going to put some solder here onto the negative side. You want to put some solder on your wires here, just heat it up. That way when you go to solder it, you're not having to do this again. So you get some solder on there. All right. So now all you do is you put your red wire to the red here. And then hold it for a couple, 2, 3, 4 seconds. That's good. And then you got your negative here. And see, everything's all good and tight. So after you get them soldered, you can check to make sure everything's really good. It's pretty solid. I'm pulling on this and it's not coming out, but I just want to give it some extra precaution. So I found this really good sticky waterproof tape at Home Depot. I just cut a piece And you just peel it off, and I just go and just stick them in there just to kind of get everything all locked in. And just as long as you get it all in there and not around the edges, because that's your waterproof seal around here for your battery pack. So make sure you get all your tape on the inside. So that is that. And then you're just going to go ahead and screw his head back together. Now you have your lead coming out the bottom, and then I'll show you the next step and how to power it up. Okay, so I cut the length of wire I needed to my nearest power source to my skeleton. And you want to make sure you get some good wire, especially if you're going to travel a long distance. Copper is always the best. I'm using this wire I got on Amazon. It's 22 AWG 2 pair. It's got a black and a red, positive, negative. And make sure it's copper. So a lot of the sources on Amazon tell you it's copper, but when you receive it, this is a silver color, which is an aluminum wire, which doesn't carry the electricity as good as copper does. So I can get you the source and where I got this to make sure you get the copper wire. So you're going to strip it, and you're going to get yourself some 1/4 inch shrink tubing. And I cut it to the length about 4 times the size of one of these to give you a nice good seal at the end. These are amazing. These are solder seals, so you don't need solder. And the red ones are for the 22 to 18 gauge, so that's what you want. So these are great because you just go ahead and just slide them on. Get my eyes to work here. And then you get your other end here. Oh, before you do that, I almost forgot. Slide on your 1/4 inch shrink tubing first. Then go ahead and get your solder seal on here. And what's nice about these guys is not only do they solder, come on, my wires. Not only do they solder, but they also seal. So you're really, there's really no need for this. I just put it on aesthetically because I don't like to see the red and the black and these guys here. So I just cover the whole thing with this afterwards. But there's really no need for this. I just do it for aesthetics. So how that works is there's your solder right there, and then this red parts have glue inside, which seeps and seals any moisture from getting in your joint. So you put your one guy on one side, you go ahead and put your other guy here. Give it a little twist. And then you go ahead and slide it over, and you get your solder point right there where the 2 wires meet. You turn on your heat gun, or you can even use a lighter if you like. And I just go ahead and hold it there and just watch. You're going to see the solder, you're going to see it shrinking. Then you're going to see where the solder melts. It turns a nice silver. See how the wires are getting the silver? There goes the solder right there. It just melted. It's soldering all your joints. You come over here, seal up that end. Come over here and you seal up this end. And there you go. Now you have a nice connected, waterproof, soldered connection. So now I'm going to do the other side, and I will come back. Okay, so I got the 2 positive and negative soldered with my solder seals. Now I'm just going to go ahead and slide on my other this is a 1/4 inch shrink tubing, and I just kind of get a center point. So I'll just kind of use this end of this stripper here as my center point, and then that way I know where center is. So that's about right. And then go ahead and shrink this guy on. You can see how it's just getting it. And this particular shrink tubing I got has glue inside of it also, so you'll see some of it seep out on the end, and it provides a really nice, so you can see the glue coming out, the little shiny part on the end there. So this gives you a nice double water seal with the solder seals inside and this, especially when you get a lot of rain in your area. And there you go. Okay, so I got the female end of the waterproof connector on one end. Now it's time to connect the power on the other end. So once again, I'm taking my 1/4 inch shrink tubing, putting them on here. Now, the Skeletons use 3 AA batteries, which work out to 4.5 volts. 99% of your cell phone chargers put out 5 volts, which is not going to hurt the LEDs. So you can use a 5-volt phone charger, typical phone charger. You can get these, you probably have a bunch laying around your house from different phones or different items, but a majority of the items, if it charges with a USB connector, like from to your computer, then it's 5 volts. So, and if you look on the charger here, it'll tell you your output. So here, output is 5 volts, and this one's putting out 2 amps. I just cut the end off of it. You're not going to need that, and you expose the 2 wires in there. This one has a red and a white, so the red is going to be your positive, and your white's going to be your negative. So on the other end, I slipped on my 1/4 inch shrink tubing, and then I use my solder seal connectors. And you go ahead and put that guy on there. And then you take your red to red. And there, you twist it up. And then you slide on your solder seal. Put these out of the way. And then you just go ahead and hold it on there. You're going to start seeing the solder is going to start to melt. And pretty soon you'll see it. There it goes. You can see the silver. See the silver color in there coming out from the solder. So, then you go ahead and seal up the other ends. And you can see how that red glue is spreading around in there and sealing up for the moisture. And there you go. So I'll go ahead and do the other end and shrink tube the whole connection, and then we'll get everything hooked up. So Skelly is all done. We went through the process of removing his head, installing the waterproof connector, fixing it so you can move his jaw by moving those 2 screws. Got my wire run all the way to where it's got to get plugged into, and now his eyes will come on and off with my timer without worrying about changing the batteries or switching him on or off.